Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Now, before I start this video, I'm talking to everybody in Las Vegas right now. If you want to cover fights live and you want to work with new media, contact me at dantesboxingnation@gmail.com. With that being said, let's get into this video. So one of the greatest fighters of all time, Lights Out James Toney, he just recently put out a post. And obviously, from the timing of the post and what he said, he was responding to Brian Norman's situation. So James, he puts up this post of him knocking out Michael Nunn. At the time, it was one of the biggest upsets in the sport. Michael Nunn was pound for pound top 3, one of the best fighters in the world, and everyone was calling him the next Sugar Ray Leonard. Well, in James Toney's recent post, he revealed that he made $65,000 in that fight, while Michael Nunn, he made $500,000. Now, this is what James Toney said in the caption. He said, "I knew I would win. That's why I bet on myself and took the fight in his hometown. You know what happened. Lights out, baby." James Toney, he would go on to eventually become pound for pound the best fighter in the world. He bet on himself and it paid off. So when you look at the dichotomy and you fast forward to present day, Brian Norman is being offered $1.7 million to fight against Boots Ennis. There's a very good chance that Brian Norman has never made more than $300,000. The interesting thing is, what Brian Norman was offered was a closer purse to Jaron Ennis's purse than James Toney's purse was to Michael Nunn. And James Toney was fighting one of the biggest names in the sport, a fighter who was considered top 3 pound for pound, the best in the world. Let's look at Devin Haney versus George Kambosos. The deal that Devin Haney took was way worse than the deal that Brian Norman is being offered to fight Boots. Because Devin was the A side, but he had to be the B side just to get George Kambosos to agree to take the fight. But Devin Haney's sacrifices paid off, because him traveling to Australia twice and beating George Kambosos got him all 4 belts in the lightweight division, becoming undisputed. And more importantly, it got him the Vasyl Lomachenko fight, a fight he would have never got if he didn't take that deal with George Kambosos. Lomachenko, he never wanted to fight Devin Haney. Remember, he vacated his belt a couple years back to avoid Devin Haney when he was his mandatory. But in this case, Loma, he had no choice. He was forced into that fight because Devin had all of the belts. And Loma wasn't going to go back down to 130. He said he couldn't make the weight anymore. So these are the sacrifices that Devin Haney and James Toney made. And it paid off. So Brian Norman is playing a dangerous game right now, because what he doesn't want to do is mess around and lose to some C-level fighter that pulls off an upset for a fraction of what he would have made against Jaron Ennis. Brian Norman, he's a good fighter, but he's average compared to black fighters because the standards are set much higher when you're a black fighter. I don't see any special effects from Brian. Now, if Brian wasn't black, old media would be praising him like he's the greatest already. But that's because, once again, the standards are set much lower when you're not black. Remember, old media was calling Vasyl Lomachenko pound for pound the best fighter in the world over Andre Ward. And this was after Andre Ward had beat Sergey Kovalev twice. And Sergey Kovalev, they had him pound for pound number 1 on the pound for pound list when Andre Ward had beat him. So they had Lomachenko over Andre Ward, and this was before Lomachenko had even beat a much smaller, older Guillermo Rigondeaux. So my point with Brian Norman is, because he doesn't look like an Abdullah Mason, he doesn't look like a Carmel Moulton, he doesn't look like a Shakur Stevenson, a Gervonta Tank Davis, that makes him far more vulnerable to lose to a nobody for a very small paycheck. But the good news for Brian is he is still young, so hopefully he can improve and become a better fighter. But for now, I don't see any special effects, which is why he turned down the fight with Jaron Ennis. Because we know Brian would have took this money to fight a Teofimo Lopez. Hell, he would have took less to fight Teofimo. So now Brian Norman, he's going to fight on Keyshawn Davis's undercard and defend his title. And once again, for his sake, he better hope that he can hold on to that belt for a very, very long time, or at least until he gets another big opportunity. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes,
Fever blisters, diabetic ulcers,
this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Deki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodeki.com.
like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.
Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.